Alright, let's get started. School, am I right? Sorry, I couldn't really think of a good introduction because I am so tired. I am so tired. And you know who else is tired? I am tired. This is me. I'm tired. JJ's tired. Brooke's tired. Blake, tired. Even vibrating Bella's tired. We're all tired. Despite looking happy, we're tired. Trust me. But that's not the worst of it. We're not the only tired people. You know who else is tired? 87% of high schoolers are tired. Nearly every high school student is not reaching the 9 recommended hours of sleep for people my age. The American education system gets a B plus in sleep deprivation. It's performing better than I will when I inevitably pass out in the middle of this presentation. I will argue high schools should start no later than 8:30 a.m. to promote student well-being. I'll address my research essay to Mark Clement, the board president of education in the region I live in, the Alpine School District. It might be impossible to influence a national change of schedule, but I think it's a lot more plausible to change just my district on a local level, and I think President Clement has the most power to do so. The health and performance of the students are his utmost responsibility in his position. Of course, number one effect of pushing school schedules back is sleep. Sleep is good. It comes with a vast array of benefits and reasons why moving first period back is specifically a good reason. But I should first address why we specifically needed to delay school to increase sleep. The primary reason is due to our circadian rhythms, essentially our sleep schedules, which are actually later than adults and children. The body only starts producing melatonin in teenagers, the sleepy, sleepy good stuff, around 11 p.m. Not only that, but there are external pressures that might make us favor later at night. Students might need to spend daytime hours with their family or younger siblings before they can tackle their homework. There are social pressures to stay up for some. Certain activities and lessons, like music and religious activities, are permanently scheduled in the late evening. And most notably, many students, work a closing shift at their job, which won't even give them the chance to leave for home until past 10 for many. Combining these events and obligations, it isn't logistically possible for many students to make the 9 hours of sleep and go to school on time. PIES? PIES is a common acronym meaning physical, intellectual, emotional, and social, referring to the proper balance to ensure best health. Sleep helps body development, effective information processing, decreased effects of depression and suicidal tendencies, and boosts confidence during the day. Sleep helps us all be incredible at night, essentially. Uh, SUNY has found that increased sleep amounts lead to betterment of all of these. It has essentially great effects on memory effectiveness and sparking creative bursts. It's just bad. This here is a picture of non-toxic gas. Notice how you can't see it, but gas is also an acronym meaning general adaptation syndrome. It's how everyone responds to stress. Specifically, the last two stages consist of resistance and exhaustion. After long periods of stress, our bodies naturally need a repair period. Sleep is a built-in portion of time for our bodies to recover from the negative portions of stress. Of course, without recovery, we'd risk higher risk of illnesses and heightened negative effects from mental illnesses or medication. Even though school has never ever caused any stress to any human in the history of ever, the extra sleep might be nice if you're a teenage firefighter or something under a lot of stress. Don't die. This would probably be a better slide without a bright green background. Oh well. Just kidding, psych. There we go. My second reason to delay school meetings would be to decrease the risk of death and injury. Most directly connected to sleep, later school times have proven statistically significant decreased traffic and accidents among teenagers. Of course, motor incidents aren't just because of drowsy driving. We can decrease it because the natural sunlight allows for better vision on the way to schools, or the later time has proven to have less effective distractions to keep our eyes off the road. Last, we can loop back to circadian rhythms again, which helps us function better later and closer to the afternoon. Alright, RASI. Who here knows what RASI means? Hopefully no one, because I just made it up. Weight room and sports injuries is what it means, and those decrease later in the day. DiCanio discovered that all coordination and reactive strength generally improves later in the day, especially among anti-adults. Um, it's common for sports teams to have training sessions early morning before school when they're most prone to injury. Probably less importantly is like maybe if you trip a lot, this would help you stop tripping and breaking all your bones. I think this picture is funny, but you know what isn't funny? Being run over, probably. Haven't tried it. Pedestrian and bike injuries outdoors specifically are most prevalent in the early morning hours. Even if you hate track students, it's probably a good thing to increase their safety just a little bit in the hours when the accidents of runners are the highest. Even if you still hate bikers, it'll save the region some dough. Reducing injuries saves millions of dollars per year potentially in property and recovery costs. Of course, later school hours have led to better student performance and behaviors. Students have shown that students are better. Sorry, studies have shown that students are better at regulating themselves later in the day rather than earlier. The impact of students making good decisions by themselves can be permanently beneficial, essentially especially leading into their independent adult life. Students also tend to behave better later in the day. Specifically, Keller said student harassment claims, which are always fun, and acting out in classrooms are drastically lower in schools at later starting times. Less harassment and misbehavior leads to less disciplinary action, whether it be suspension or expulsion or just being called to the principal's office. Those type of things can drastically lower self-esteem and effectiveness and effort among students. So decreasing the need for them is extremely necessary for some people. Even well-behaved students greatly benefit from the decreased danger in schools. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right here, you don't have to read that, students have to feel safe before they can perform to the best of their abilities. Maybe on a more relatable level for some, I'm sure all of us have gone one tardy or absence in some time, and later starting periods helps reduce them. Unexcused absences and tardies decrease later, and the less classes that students miss, the more they can learn. Maybe most surprisingly, the effect of delaying the first bell is comparable to an increase of one standard deviation of teacher quality. Students can absorb information at a higher level, and some teachers can more easily teach without knocking into our schools. Our dumb brains. Maybe if school started later for me, I could have learned more than 0 things in my AP Physics class. But specifically, grades improve with students falling below the average. So students failing classes can gain the credits they need, increasing graduation rates. You know what they say? Students won't actually sleep, will they? That's definitely what they say. Regardless, it's an important question to discuss. Parents and teachers who are students might squander the extra time they have staying up late on their phones or playing games. Either way, there's evidence that using their phones might convince students to stay up later. DeSouza's investigation found that the relationship between sleep on weekdays and weekends on breaks is inverse to during the school week. In simplest terms, this coined social jet lag implies teenagers can choose and often do delay their bedtimes on their own volition. So what can we say? Actually, you're not wrong for thinking that. It's an undeniable fact that students can choose to stay up later with leisurely activities instead of using the time they're given to sleep. Especially true that teenagers will choose to do so during breaks. Even so, it's discovered that students indeed use the extra time at night beneficially. The two most important parts to note are time and satisfaction. In a school which enacted the time change, students slept an average of half an hour more when the schedule was pushed back 40 minutes. Maybe more importantly, students felt they had a more satisfying sleep and they were more attentive during the day, feeling no drowsiness. Even though some students won't use their extra time to sleep wisely, the vast majority of students were able to get more and better shut eye. In the end, students need to be pushed back Schools need to be pushed back to allow students to perform at their best levels. Of course, you can respond with any questions that you might have since it's impossible to cover everything, and here are some of them.